Today we have a very special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Tina Fernandez, bodybuilder, mother, and I don't know. I try to be a comedian, but I don't know if that works.
How are you
I'm
today?
good. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. Raining outside.
Yeah, it's hot here.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into bodybuilding.
So I'm 42 years old, and at 36 years old, I remember after Christmas, I was like miserable with how I felt about my eating. I was like annoyed with myself. And I remember trying to fit into this one particular like thing that I had gotten for Christmas. And I couldn't do it. So I was so frustrated. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. My New Year's resolution is to get in the best shape of my life, and I'm gonna do it this year. And so January 1st came, 2016, and I think I technically started on January 2nd, and it just took off from there. It was my resolution, and it took off. I started training, and then my coach was like, you should do a show. I was like, no. I do not want to be in front of people. I don't like people looking at me. I don't want to be judged on my body. And then eventually I was like, you know what, maybe it's time for me to go out of my comfort zone. I did a show. I got third place, and I'm a super competitive person. So I was like, I got to do another one because I got to win. And that's when it just took off.
So in your journey to do what you do, what was that like? And as far as the training, the nutrition aspect of everything, was it difficult to have that transformation?
The first few months were the hardest for me because you don't see results right away, and it becomes like an uphill battle, and you're like, why am I doing this? I'm eating nothing. Well, I mean, you eat a lot, but it's so low calorie and it's not food you want. So I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? I'm working out really hard and I'm eating perfectly and I'm not seeing any difference. But then within, I'd say 2 months, finally it clicked and I started seeing a difference. And that's when I got addicted to it because I was like, okay, it is working. So I just put more and more and more into it. And that's what I've done this whole time.
So what kind of stuff did you have during that? Was it more protein based or?
Yeah, so at first I started off in bikini. So bikini is even less calories than I'm in figure now. Figure girls can eat more because we're trying to get bigger. Bikini, you want to be smaller and softer. So I really didn't eat very much at all. I was super low calorie. It was mostly chicken, ground turkey, jasmine rice, and a lot of vegetables. And that's pretty much what I lived off of. Me, oatmeal, almond butter. I mean, I kind of live off the same thing now. I just eat more of that now. So, and the hardest part for me was I drank a lot before. I had to cut out all my drinking, obviously. So now I don't drink at all. But then I drink almost every day.
Yeah, I would imagine that especially because it's loaded down with sugar, that's kind of detrimental to what you're trying to achieve.
Right. Yeah, you can't drink alcohol and be a bodybuilder. I mean, you can, but you're not going to be as successful as a bodybuilder. I mean, lots of them do it, but it's just one of those things. Why am I going to add that to my intake? It just doesn't make sense. So I just don't do it. And I'd rather not drink anyways. I have kids and it's just for the best.
So can you tell me a little bit about the competition aspect and what all goes into getting not only physically prepared for it, but mentally prepared for that as well?
So I usually do anywhere from a 12 to 10 week prep, which, on that time, I don't skip a workout. I don't skip cardio. I work out anywhere from 6 to 7 days a week, 2 to 3 hours a day. And I eat about 5 to 6 times a day. every 2 to 3 hours. And I love the prep. I actually don't really like competing on stage. It's still not my favorite thing to do, but I love the prep leading up to it. That's my favorite thing. I love structure. I love routine. I'm a creature of habit. So I appreciate being on prep. So when I'm not on prep, I can't wait to get back on prep. That's why I'm a rare person. I'm lean probably year round because I compete almost year round. Like, I just don't stop. I love it so much. But the show day itself, I'm like, I don't really care about that. Like, it's just this part of the deal. You have to do it. So, but I've won quite a bit, and I have one on this Saturday. I'm hoping I do well on Saturday. So, I think it's going to be my 13th or 14th show.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, hopefully it goes the way you'd like it to. What competitions have you been a part of, and do you have one that's been in the top 5 of the ones that you've done?
So I've done a lot. They've all been NPC. I've gone to nationals, I want to say 4 times. So I've traveled to South Carolina, Vegas, Arizona. I may or may not go to Florida this December. I haven't decided for nationals. The top show that I probably did was the first one that I won a sword. It was my 4th show, and I had endured a lot of stress during that prep. It was the hardest prep for me, probably to this day. I shouldn't have even competed, but somehow I made it through that 12 weeks, and shockingly, I won when I shouldn't have even been there, but I won. So I was like, I cried. I couldn't believe it. So that was it.
And it with most things, there's got to be a certain level of dedication to the craft and to, when you're not competing, staying in the same shape that you are in when you are competing.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely, before people ask me when they want to compete, like, what's the hardest part about it? The hardest part is after you compete, because you're so used to seeing, you get on stage and you see yourself looking perfect, like stage ready, tight, lean, veiny, and then you have to get ready for after you start gaining weight. So it's the one time you're going to go backwards, even though you're still going to look amazing to most people. It's kind of a mind fuck that you look at yourself and you're like, oh, I look like shit, but you don't. But your brain is rewired to think, like, sometimes I'm like super lean and people are like, you're so lean, but in my head I'm like, oh, I'm not lean at all. My brain is trained differently now when I look at myself. So bodybuilders are really messed up in that way. You have to find a balance, because it gets to be, a lot of bodybuilders get depressed because if they don't look a certain way, they feel like they're trash, which is not true, but it's a mind game. So you have to be super prepared. I tell everyone, if you're going to compete, you have to know you're going to go backwards, and you have to be okay with it.
So as far as coming up into where you are now, did you have anybody that you looked up to from the fitness world or the bodybuilding world that kind of inspired you to push through and get you where you are currently?
It's funny because people always ask me that, like, if I have anyone I look up to or anything. And to be honest, I don't. The only person that I can claim anything for is probably my father. He gave me a really strong mindset, and I'm just so focused on whatever I decide to do. I have to do it 100%, and I have to just know that I'm doing everything I can to make it the best, whatever it is. So my dad really passed his mindset on to me, And I don't give up, even though there's times where I probably should have, but I refuse. So, but in the bodybuilding world, it's funny, even to this day, I don't really follow it. I don't follow, like, people always ask me if I know. I'm like, I don't go to shows. It's just something I love to do, but I'm not invested in that beyond that. Like, that's just me. I'm just not. So, I love my coach. She was a figure pro. She's obviously helped me tremendously. Um, but yeah, it's basically my dad. Just the mindset he passed on to me is very, very strong.
Yeah, and with most competitive sports, no matter whether it's bodybuilding, football, basketball, any of that stuff, I would imagine that for a lot of people, you try to be that much better than you were yesterday.
Yes, I say it's like the one thing. There's no such thing as perfect. You just keep striving for it, but you're never going to get it. It's because I can change my body for the rest of my life. Even the older I get, sure, there's going to be a time where I'm going to be too old to where I'm not going to be able to work out the same. But for now, every day I can change my body, even if it's I want to get smaller. That's a different way of perfect, So it's like I can maneuver and chisel my body the way I want to. It's a never-ending process, and that I'll just keep, because people are always like, "How big do you want to get?" And I'm like, I don't have a size in mind. I just keep going. I just don't stop.
So when you decided to go this route, you talked about being all in. Where do you see yourself in the future as far as do you see yourself staying in the bodybuilding world, or do you see yourself venturing off into a different aspect of the fitness world?
Well, shockingly enough, I can't even believe I am where I am now. Like, I didn't see my life going in this direction, 10 years ago. It's still shocking. I'm like, how the fuck did I get into this whole thing? But so I don't know. I feel like I keep getting new opportunities handed to me, and I just go with the flow. But I do want to be a pro, but I don't know what expense. It's such a subjective sport. I've already accomplished so much to where I'm happy with the way I've come in every show. I can't, I don't want to kill myself trying to go pro forever. It's tough. So, but I'm gonna keep trying for the next couple years, and eventually, if I can't, probably by 45, I'll probably stop. But I'm 42 now, so I'll give myself a few years. But I don't know if I'll ever stop competing, though.
Is it competing and getting ready to compete, that whole process, is it still as fun as it was when you started today?
Yeah, I think so. If anything, it just gets easier and easier for me because I know how to do it to where it's not like people usually assume that if you're on prep, you can't do certain things or you can't go to certain places or you're moody. None of that is true. I live a totally normal life on prep. I take my kids wherever they want to eat. I take them on vacations. I go on dates. I'm not moody at all. If anything, my peak week, I'm usually the happiest because I love peak week because it changes your body so much. I love seeing it. So I'm not a moody person though. A lot of people, I guess, struggle with peak week. I love it though. So yeah, I just I love it.
So I've got a couple other questions for you. Well, it's really one big question, but for anybody that is looking to get into the fitness world, whether it be strongman, bodybuilding, what advice would you give them to get into shape and be in shape with the mental aspects of it as well?
You have to stay consistent and you can't give up. Like, it's so easy. I remember when I wanted to give up, I told myself, if I don't see a change in the next 2 weeks, I'm quitting. I'm so glad that I stuck it out because I've changed my whole life within those 2 weeks, basically. My whole life changed after that. So you have to stay consistent. Your body, I mean, some people it reacts faster, but some it takes a long time. But you always want to make sure you're going the right direction. I always say you're working out every day and you're eating healthy, you're definitely not going to be gaining a whole bunch of weight. So at least you're going the right way, because people want results. Even if you don't see any difference, you're not getting more overweight or out of shape or whatever. So you got to stick with it. And I'm telling you, you will see changes. It's just going to take time. It really takes time. And people want everything right now. People are always hoping when they say, how do you look this way? Or what do you take? They hope I tell them, oh, I take this pill that they can just take and it'll make them in shape. And it's so much work, but it's so worth it. And I can honestly say, I know that people think I'm deprived, of certain foods. I feel like people that haven't experienced feeling super confident about your body and proud of yourself, that I think they're deprived. I don't feel deprived at all. I'm so happy and I love my body so much, and I get a lot of slack for it too, trust me. But I don't give a shit. I just keep going and going, and if you don't like it, I say don't look. You don't have to look at me.
So, where can we find you on social media? I know I found you on Instagram.
So it's so funny because I am the most social, antisocial human ever. I wouldn't even have Instagram if it wasn't for the fact that that's how I make a living, basically. So I don't really have any other social media. Like, I know I should probably have a Twitter, and I don't have anything. Like I said, I didn't even have Instagram until I decided to make a career out of this, which was about a year and a half ago. I didn't even have social media because I'm kind of anti, but I have to do it because that's how I make money. So.
Well, I definitely appreciate you coming on the show. Look forward to see what's next for you. Hopefully the competition you have coming up goes the way you'd like it to, which, but I hope you have a good rest of the day and, enjoy trick-or-treating with the kids. And, hopefully we can do it again, at some point in the future.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you have a good afternoon, and we'll talk to you soon.